where we celebrate technological achievements of Indians in the past. But we are going to take a different take today. We're going to talk about the future. And I have the pleasure of introducing the speaker for the day, Ms. Latha Venkatesh. She's the CIO at Daimler Financial Services, an extremely successful IT professional with a well-balanced mix of IT and business process knowledge, acquired through more than 2 decades of hands-on experience in the areas of business-aligned IT strategy, business process consulting, product development, systems implementation, and project management. Prior to Daimler, she had successful stints at Sundaram Infotech for more than a decade. Started a career in 1990 as a software programmer, which means she has seen 3 decades of the IT transformation in the country across different companies. Worked on multiple technologies, commencing from the DOS platform, which most of you students may have never been aware of. But I do remember the 4-inch by 4-inch, 1.44 MB floppy disk that we used to use back in those days. So she has seen it all, and to the latest Windows environment. So, and in the course has Madam Venkatesh, Latha Venkatesh has worked on multivarious domains like manufacturing, finance, intellectual property, education. Over the course of 20 years in various companies, now she looks after the entire functioning, including project management, delivery, customer handling, HR, accounting, administration, etc., in her capacity as the CIO. She changed roles in 2010 and handled 2 major service verticals, including profit and loss responsibilities. And once again, now she is as the CIO of Daimler Financial Services, responsible for ensuring IT in line with various organizational strategies for the last almost 3 years now. So without any further ado, let me just hand over the stage to her, where she's going to take us through not IT as an enabler, but IT as a transformer in the decade to come. So that's the tack we are taking for the National Technology Day talk today. Thank you very much for sparing your time and making it convenient for you to enlighten us about the upcoming fantastic times that we're going to have with IT as the transformer. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Good evening to all the esteemed professors, learned colleagues, and fellow students. I'm thankful to Kaustubh sir for giving me this opportunity to speak on this memorable day. Most of you must be aware that on May 11th, 1998, India successfully completed 3 nuclear tests and joined the elite group of nuclear power nations, right? So in that context, from then on, I should say that India has seen enormous advancements in the field of technology in leaps and bounds. And as we are all proud witnesses to that as well, right? So when I was given this topic, I mean, I've been in, like Kaustubh sir said, I've been in this field for 30+ years now. And technology is kind of very close to my heart. It's my passion. And anything related to solutioning, anything related to logic is really interesting for me, right? So I was wondering, should I go with the presentation? Should I not go with the presentation? How do I, share my views or my thoughts with all of you on this day? And then I decided, no presentations. You all have had enough and more time on presentations, literally on a day-to-day basis. And I said, no more. Yeah. So this is a free-fall discussion that I would like to engage in with all of you today. And I welcome all of you to use the chat medium on the Zoom platform. Please share your opinions, your comments, your feedbacks, your questions, anything, right? And I'll be most happy to answer them at the end of whatever I have to say, so to speak. Yeah. So I was also thinking how to present this topic, because it's not about what information technology can do, but it's more about how do we see information technology as a business transformer in the coming years? And obviously, that will also have a ripple effect on our society, on our own individual lives, and so on, right? So then I thought that I could take it up into three parts. The first one is where we are today. How did we come up here today? What are the top few disruptive technologies that we can foresee or anticipate in the next decade? And finally, what is our expectation out of this group, of this collective brain power that is here in this gathering today? So from that perspective, you all know that, we have been, this pandemic has been there in the last 2 years, and this has given rise to a VUCA world, full of uncertainties, vulnerabilities, challenges, unforeseen scenarios, what not. You mentioned it, we all faced it, right? Both on the home life front, our personal life front, and from an organizational front. So from that perspective, businesses have been forced to think radically, differently, and turn around their business in a very short time. They had to risk-proof their processes, optimize their, the entire operation chain in some cases. At the same time, they had to focus on efficiency, maintain their productivity, or in some cases, increase their productivity, and also ensure sustainability, right? And for this, they had to turn towards technology. So technology was a driving factor in this. And in the past 2 years, we have seen significant focus towards technology from industries world over. And from a recent Gartner survey, if I can share with all of you, 74% of the respondents mentioned that automation helped them to improve efficiency, and 59% reported cost savings of at least up to 30%, resulting out of these automations, right? So automation was a key in this past years, and some of the tools or technologies that industries look forward to in the process of automation was, from the top of my head, probably low-code coding, low-code platforms, RPAs, hyper automations. For example, if I had to say what exactly is a low-code tool, it's actually a visual platform that enables us to develop applications in a faster method, because it has got a visual platform, it has got a drag and drop facility, it has got inbuilt workflow coding aspects, and so on. So it helps reduces cost, it helps reduces time, and it also allows for faster deployment. So industries could be agile, could be flexible, and actually they could satisfy customer expectations, especially given the pandemic scenario. Suddenly, in the pandemic, customers weren't coming to you. You had to reach out to customers, right? So the way the organizations thought, the way industries had to serve the customers, their products, their services, took literally a 360-degree turn around this last couple of years. So in that aspect, low-code platform was one, wherein developments could be easier as compared to the earlier methodology, wherein teams of developers were sitting and physically writing codes to have the applications developed. It was a longer time process. You had a project teams, you had requirements, you had developers, you had testing, and then UAT and deployment and so on. So low-code platform is here to stay. And again, by 2024, almost 65% of app developments will be accomplished using this approach. So this is one technology that is here to stay, and we see more adoption going forward on this. And more than 75% of large organizations, enterprise organizations, would be using low-code, at least 2 or 3 tools as a platform for their internal IT applications and processes. The second is what I can call as RPA, which is robotic process automation, wherein repetitive tasks that were performed by workforce would be automated, right? So this leaves the workforce to concentrate on their core activities and work towards enhancing business. So that is something that was a key. Again, there has been RPA in place for quite some years now, but we see more adoption in these years, and that will again be here to stay. Obviously, then the next logical step is to integrate RPA with artificial intelligence and machine learning. And what do we expect out of artificial intelligence and machine learning? It's not just that we are going to automate repetitive processes and improve efficiency. That's not the goal. What is the goal here is to see how do we intuitively learn from this process. There's a lot of data at place for us, right? So how do we intuitively learn from this process? We look at the trends of performance, we look at the customer trends, we look at the customer behavior, we analyze the financial data, we analyze the various hidden data points in the system. We get a lot of insights out of this, and that is where AI and machine learning will help us a lot. So that is again an upcoming trend, and more and more in use, so that businesses can tune their services and products to suit the world outside today. Again, we all know about Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and so on, right? See, probably I belong to probably a Gen Y, right? So I have not probably been that much onto social platforms and your iPads and mobiles and so on earlier. But of course, situation today is different. We have to be, if you have to compete with the rest of you. The average Gen Z, received their first mobile phone at the age of 10 years, probably, unlike us, right? They grew up playing with their parents' mobile or tablets or whatever. So their expectation is more on the digital platform. They have grown up in a hyper-connected world, and smartphone is their preferred means of communication, right? Whereas the Gen Alphas, who come a bit later than the Gen Zs, they are being raised in homes with smart speakers and devices. Technology is literally woven into their everyday life. So they would have probably, given this pandemic and all that, they would have attended universities or schools online. They gravitate more towards online learning. They would have probably, if I were to, say, even before they were born, because of their millennia parents, probably they would have even had a digital presence. You never know, right? They'd have had a social media account right before they were born also. So that's how we are moving. So the expectations of the Gen Z and the Gen Alphas are completely different from what we were expecting. And if industries had to cater to them, they would obviously have to change the way they work. The mind that there should be a complete mindset change. There should be a complete approach change in the way they offer their products, in the way they offer their servicings, and in the way they support after sales also. So these are certain key areas that people are looking into, industries are looking into, and for that, tools like AI, tools like RPAs, tools like automatizations, everything end-to-end digitization has now become the name of the game, right? So industries are concentrating on this all these days. Past 2 years, again, because of the pandemic, has seen a significant improvement or adaptation to these technologies. And going forward also, we see that this will be the day-to-day, the day-to-day focus of major organizations around the world. It's not just India, it's around the world. Now, having said this, a side product of the pandemic, I would say, is the work from home that we are all going through these days, right? Probably 5 years back, 10 years back, work from home was isolated to IT field. IT companies, the IBMs of the world, the Googles of the world, the Facebooks of the world were okay with work from home, but work from home was never even thought about from a manufacturing industry, or from a production plant, or from a service center, or from a dealer touch point, and so on and so forth. So again, pandemic has brought a paradigm shift into the thought process of management, and almost all industries, almost all companies throughout the world have taken this into account in the past 2 years. And this meant within a very short time, right, the infrastructure around this, the technology base around this had to scale up. If you had to work from home, there were a lot of nuances around it. It should not invade your personal space. At the same time, you should be able to work at office, do your work for the office properly, right? So that meant proper infrastructure, proper communication networks, proper hardware. We would see improvement, vast improvement in the various generations of laptops and systems that come over the next few years. So these are all the, I would say, the side impacts or the fallouts of the pandemic that we had last 2 years. And industries are concentrating day to day on how to improve, how to reach out to that end customer out there, and how to ensure that you are there in the competitive world, right? And you are sustainable, you are reliable. These are some of the key topics that industries are concentrating on, right? And they will continue to concentrate on going forward. So having said this is where we are. So what some of the, I was just going through various topics, and I came across a few disruptive technologies that we can foresee in the next coming decades. Yeah. So I was talking about AI before, just a few minutes back, right? The moment you think of AI, you think of all the Alexas and Siris around the world. Most of us have used it. Most of us know what it is. Most of us know robots. Most of us know science fiction movies, right? So robots are there. Robots are already there in the production environment. Robots are already there in manufacturing plants. Wherever you see precision work to be done, wherever you see repetitive works to be done, you see their robots there, right? So you see robots in automations wherever it is required, material handling equipments, pharma industries, automotive industries, you see robots there. But here I'm not referring to those robots, right? I'm referring to those areas where robots could be deployed, wherein human beings are involved today. Say, for example, can we imagine a robot being a firefighter? Today, that particular immediate thought process, it requires instantaneous thinking. It requires instantaneous reaction. You don't know what is the kind of scenario in a fire scenario, right? What is going to happen? So we all think that human beings should be involved there because of their thinking power, because of their reactive capabilities and so on. And we always think a robot is something which is prefixed, right? It can't keep improving on itself. So today, one of the technologies that we are talking about is robots in such kind of an environment wherein earlier we had a presumption that only humans can do, right? So we are looking at robo in a kind of who's a firefighter. We are looking at a robo who can pick probably radioactive wastes, and these would eliminate health hazards, safety hazards for human beings, right? AI is almost going to be integrated with every single technology that comes up in the that has come up now and that is coming up in the near future. So that is one area that we can look forward to. Another interesting area is brain and computer interface, right? So I'm talking here about chips that could be implanted in human brains. So immediately, all of us jump to thinking, oh my God, horror movie, science fiction, huh? Where are we going? We are losing control. These are the innate fears that we all face, right? But as we speak, you all must have heard of Elon Musk, right? The father of Tesla. So he has already announced in 2021 a chip called Neuralink, which can be embedded in the brain and which helps to rewire or rechange the patterns of the brain so that it can control addiction, it can control depression. So these kind of chips are being researched today and will be of a significant help in the health industry. So this is another area that we could look forward to. And we are also talking about, say, for example, forget about the health industry. Let's look at how does it change our social lives, right? Today, if I wanted my drone to do something, or if I want my computer to do something, I'll have to manually instruct the drone or instruct my computer. Just imagine a scenario where I think about it, yeah, and automatically it happens. This also can happen with these chips. I think of a music and it automatically streams onto my brain, right? Instead of going through an instrument. That's another thought process that we can have. But just imagine the kind of flexibility that we'll have, the experience, rich experience that we'll get out of all this. will be the motivating factor for using this going forward. And again, I'm sure at some point in time, it will become a feature, regular feature of our life today, similar to your Alexas and Siris. Okay. The third interesting technology that I came across was 3D printing. Okay, 3D printing, again, we all think of fashion industry, we think of textile industry, we think of printing industry when we talk about 3D printing, right? But imagine using a 3D printer to form a human organ, say for example, a human heart. Okay, this human heart will be made along with human tissues as a 3D printer, and the use case for it, it could replace a human organ. There's so much amount of vast shortage when we talk about organ donation today, and definitely this will help us there, right? Another possibility of a 3D printing, China has already developed an entire apartment complex using 3D printing. And if that was successful, and if we could actually implement it in practical reality, the cost that would go into constructions, into dwellings, into apartments would significantly come down. And that will obviously help our lives, the society around us, and the people around us. Another use case for 3D printing is from NASA. NASA and a California-based company is researching into doing the 3D printing of a rocket. And if that went through successfully, the entire manufacturing cost of a rocket would drastically come down as well. So these kind of research and innovation is going on around the world today as we speak. And by 2030, 2025 to 30, we can expect to see majority of these coming up in daily, day-to-day use as well. Some of the other, I was talking about 10 top disruptive technologies, right? So some of the others are, you talk about living robots. What exactly is a living robo, right? A robo is not something into which we infuse life. That's not the point. This robo is made of, is actually a small, tiny programmable units, which are also created using human stem cells. And where do we use it? We could inject it into a human body to control cell activations, to control release of certain enzymes, to control and monitor what exactly happens inside our body. This way, it would help us to control various diseases. Say, for example, cancer, right? It's the most common disease that we all come across. And how does cancer happen? It is actually uncontrolled division of cells, to put it in a very layman terms. And if this particular programmable unit could control that, then look at the kind of quality of life that we will all have in future. So this is something, again, that's very exciting, and it's looked forward to in the medical field as a probable solution in the near future. I come from an automotive industry today, so obviously I have to talk about it, right? So hydrogen fueled vehicles. We are all talking, the entire world is worried about pollution, environmental hazards, pollution, CO2 emissions, and so on. Hydrogen fuels are there, here to stay. There are already vehicles, about 10,000 vehicles that have been produced using hydrogen fuel cells. But is it something that is easy to do? And is it something that can be put into common use? Probably not at this point in time, because doing that involves a lot of risks. The production mechanisms, the flammability of the gas, the cost involved towards development of a vehicle, it's not that easy. So the continuous research is still going on onto this topic, but I hope that sometime in the near future, we would have hydrogen fuel vehicles. And again, coming from Mercedes-Benz, right? Automated vehicles, self-driven vehicles are here to stay. We already have vehicles out there which are self-driving, but again, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a vehicle which just doesn't have a steering wheel. It doesn't even have a panel. it is a self-driving machine, right? And it has got about level 5 of automation. And you're talking about autonomous drones, taxis. By 2023 to 2030, this is the expectation there from the automotive sector as well. Energy storing bricks. That's one more area that I can think of. We have all seen the common bricks, red bricks that are available with us during construction. It's all manufactured locally. There is a component in it called ferric oxide or iron oxide, something like that. Yeah, iron and ferric are the same. So iron oxide, right? It has got the capability to store energy. So energy storing bricks are going to be, again, a game changer in the upcoming times. And they can also be recharged. So think of a house or think of a construction with energy saving bricks and probably solar panels and so on. And look at the kind of improvement that we bring into the power industry, right? So these are some of the disruptive technologies that kind of interested me. Of course, last but not the least, quantum computing is there. Quantum computing is still in a very, very nascent stage, but it will revolutionize the entire industry. What is done by a supercomputer today, say, for example, in a span of 1 month, can be done by a quantum computing in about few seconds. So this is what we are looking at in the future going forward. And how does this impact us? How does this impact industries? How is it a business transformation, game changer, right? Anything to do with all these technologies impacts the entire supply chain as well, right? So once the technology is in place, there is a supply chain. Somebody has to develop it, somebody has to distribute it, somebody has to use it, somebody has to improve on it. So there's a complete chain, and these technologies are going to be used in various industries. There are use cases for health industries, for pharma industries, for manufacturing industries, for automotive industries, for space industries. I mean, the list is endless, right? So from that perspective, I think technology is a game changer and continue to be a game changer. And as it, to a certain extent, it will also drive how industries do their business. So it will change how industries reach customers, give a customer experience, and ensure that they are there, up there in the competitive world in a very sustainable manner and a reliable manner, and also ensure profitability, productivity, efficiency. These are all driven out of these technology improvements. So, but these are all technology improvements, and we are, it's all great. It's all wonderful. What is the con side of it? This is a pro side of it. We have got so many great things to look forward to. We have got so many great things being implemented. So these are the pro side of it. What's the con side of it? With every innovation, with every technology improvement that comes in, there is this parallel universe that's working out there, I should say. And I call this parallel universe the security world, right? So as we bring in new technologies, as we implement new systems, we have to look at how do we control this? How do we monitor this? And how do we secure this data? There's so much amount of billions and billions of data out there, right? How do we secure it? Industries will have to provide safe practices for the data that they hold, be it their own patents, their own company information, proprietary information, or be it the customer's data. So this becomes a key, right? So focus is for industries in that particular sector is to ensure they handle all the ransomware attacks that come up. They ensure and manage cloud security, because more and more all of this is going to be on cloud. They manage data security. They manage, when I say data security, I'm talking about all the applications that hold data. Say, for example, almost all of us are using this payment gateways today. We are using GPay, we are using PhonePe, we are using net banking, we are using debit cards, credit cards, everything, right? So these are digital payment gateway environments, and therefore we should, and they contain sensitive information. They contain our banking information, financial information, they contain the organizational data and so on, right? So how do you manage the digital payment security? How do we manage crypto security? Because more and more it's going to be about encryption, your entire Internet of Things. It's all revolves around all this, right? So security is going to be a key. And as much as innovation and technology is one big pillar, supporting all these industries. Security is going to be equally a big pillar. And at the same time, I should say probably more effort will go into this pillar rather than in this pillar, I should say, at least from my perspective, because as many innovations that we have, we also have to ensure that it doesn't have any leakages. It's not susceptible to hacking. It's not susceptible to data loss. It's not susceptible to data theft, and so on and so forth. So this is another pillar that will be there, and that will parallelly support this entire the technology band in the upcoming years. So given this scenario, I just wanted to mention both these pillars. And now where do we stand, right? So they actually, what I wanted to say is, like, while technology is a value add, right? Going forward, even today, from today's context, even a street vendor, from a street vendor to a major organization, technology is an integral part of every walk of life, be it personal or professional. So if you all remember, I commenced this discussion by saying, fellow students. So what I'm trying to say here is, this is a platform which has got continuous learning involved. Every day brings in new challenges. Every day brings in new opportunities, new improvements, and we continue to keep learning, right? So now I come to the third part of what I wanted to share with you all today. What is expected from us as leaders in the upcoming decade in the sector, and what is expected from this collective pool of brain power, if I may say so, in this group, right? With this pandemic has changed the way we do business.
We've lost your voice. Hello.
So we can hear you, but I guess ma'am has lost the voice.
Yeah, ma'am has lost her, probably her connection.
Network issue might be.
Let's try to message her. Yeah.
So
we lost you temporarily for half a minute or something.
Okay, so I was just saying that from a leader perspective, we ourselves should change, right? We need to be more culturally, geographically, generationally savvy and agile, because more and more we'll be leading larger teams spread geographically across the world, and there'll be younger teams. So that the thought process of for us also has to change, and we will also be going through a lot of ambiguity, a lot of how do I say this, mindset mapping against the global benchmarks. There will be global benchmarks which we'll have to meet. So this is a change that we ourselves as leaders are going through. So for you all, for the young managers, upcoming managers in this group, what I would have to say is, you would all have to start preparing for yourselves for leadership early on. Okay, so you must envision the future goals and roles, and how do you plan for them is something that you'll have to work upon. You'll have to start integrating more with your managers. You'll have to have the right mixture of exposures, both formal and on-the-job development, close monitoring, etc. And for you all, at least for us, we had some time, right, wherein we could learn on the job and slowly scale up to the roles that we are performing today. Like, for example, I started off as a programmer and slowly scaled up over 30. It has taken me 3 decades to come to where I am today, right? But for you, it is not a choice. It is you no longer have a choice. It's an urgent business and imperative, and no longer, a nice to do if I have the time kind of an activity. So more and more, you all should start preparing yourself for this particular role early on. We reach out to you, we look out to you for all out-of-box ideas. Don't allow yourself to be conventionally led, put into certain boxes as to how you have to perform, how you have to do this. This is what you have to do. These are the steps that you'll have to follow, and so on. That is not the expectation from all of you here. You have to reach out. You have to be, helping us with your out-of-box thinking. I look forward to, I'm sure, I should say that from this group, we can expect a lot more new things in the upcoming years. So that's what I had to say. So thank you, everyone.
Wonderful, wonderful. Crisp, absolutely to the point, beautifully weaved in together. There are a few questions in the chat box. Maybe we can take them, and maybe one question will lead to others as well.
Sure, sir.
So in the chat box, one can see those questions. So, I can read them out for you. Aman, you can. Aman Kumar Yadav is asking a question on space solar power systems. And he's
okay. So I'll have to get back to you on this, Aman Kumar. Definitely, it is feasible. The one thing that I've seen across these 30 years is nothing is impossible in technology, and that is my motto, my personal goal as well, my personal how do I say statement as well, right? So definitely this is possible, and but the details of how it is or how we do this, I'll have to get back to you on this. If you could give me your connect, definitely I'll get back to you on this.
Yeah. I think I've heard Japanese are taking an initiative in this space, building large mirrors in space beyond the Earth's atmosphere. And I've heard that the aim is that most of the components will be 3D printed in space itself.
Exactly.
So the ferrying costs will also reduce.
Yes.
Something like that. Interesting question, Aman.
Yeah.
And then there is Mohammad Qasim asking a question.
Major countries leading in
green
hydrogen production. Definitely, I guess Europe, most countries in Europe are already working on this, and probably in China as well, this side on the Asia Pacific region.
One question from my side.
Yes, sir.
How do you see this crypto craze unfolding in the next few years? Is it okay? Is it going to? Is it a blip, or how is it going to affect? I'm not just talking about currency, but basically the blockchain technology influencing multiple domains, logistics or payments, contracts, and how do you see that panning out?
It's here to stay, sir. Definitely, right? Yeah. But it comes. What we are trying now to sort out is address the complications that are coming out of it. Like I said earlier, the security aspects is one, and second is it will definitely change the entire process life cycle, speeden up the entire process. So definitely it's here to stay. Even our own government, like you said, from a cryptocurrency perspective, is focusing on that. But is it immediate? Probably not. There's still a lot more work to be done. And over probably the next few years, we'll start seeing it in practical use, I should say. But definitely, crypto is here to stay.
And I mean, in specific spaces like, say, logistics, in an automobile company like yours, right? There are, a car consists of probably 30,000 components plus 30,000 plus. How does that blockchain technology help manage the entire vendor management system? Or it's a complex, very complicated procurement system, right? So
exactly.
How would, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are interested in the, amongst our students and faculty are interested in the supply chain operations. So how does that blockchain thing really, help efficiencies and things like that? If you could shed some light on it.
Yeah. So if I had to relate it to a few years back, wherein we had this production per minute concept, right? PPM in industries. And companies like Ford, companies like Acer, they were all into this, exact production as per the calculations, right? So if a transport came to pick up a vehicle or to pick up a component, say probably an hour earlier, it was not even let into the plant. So that is how the entire supply chain mechanism was also tied one to the other, depending on the plan for the day, and the production was planned. Depending on the production, the invoicing and other cycles, delivery cycles were planned. And depending on the delivery cycles, the sub transportation system with the sub vendors, the subcontracts, everything was planned. And for all this entire production to work, you had a dependency on subcontractors, right? So even the subcontractors plan, delivery plan, job orders, everything was tied one to one. And at that point in time, probably it was happening manually through systems, through various applications, right? But blockchain is there to change that. So blockchain will ensure this, the integration between the various systems, the communications to the respective vendors, subcontractors in the entire chain of activities. And that is where we see that it will become more smooth going forward. Earlier, of course, it was manual. Now, not manual completely. It was handled through various softwares, various systems, and people were actually planning things, right? So this part of it would probably be automated completely, I should say.
And traceability, of course, is the biggest
audit, traceability, without which no company can survive.
So maybe, do you think auditors will go out of business when blockchain really?
No. I'll tell you why. Primarily, what is the fundamental role of an auditor, right? To ensure that whatever processes or whatever policies that an organization is defining, it is being executed as it is defined. That is the role of an auditor. So even with all these technologies in place, auditors' jobs will never go away. They will have to ensure that we are saying this is a process, we are saying this is a policy. Is it being actually implemented? Are there any loopholes? Are there any missing links in the chain? Are we having some kind of a mismatch between what was envisioned and what is actually being practiced? So this is going to be the role of auditors. So I don't foresee them going away, no way. And they are there for a good job, good guidance for the organization, right? And we do need that. Otherwise, we take things for granted.
Correct, absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you think that the profile of an auditor will change? In the sense, today the auditor is more of a compliance-driven individual, has to know the compliances very well, etc. Going forward, the auditor will also have to be techno-savvy in terms of understanding how people are hacking the compliance systems.
Exactly.
He or she needs to have that. Do you think that that skill needs to be added? Anybody who is wanting to enter the risk mitigation industry?
There are various programs like CISA, right? ISACA is conducting so many programs for us with CISA, CISM. So these help. These are sub functionalities which auditors generally get trained on. So depending upon which kind of a role that you take up as an auditor, be it in finance, then that goes into a different role. From our perspective, from a systems perspective, you need to know how, like you are absolutely right, sir. You need to know how systems perform. You need to know what are the controls, what are the implementation areas, what are the validations and methodologies that you could have. So both from an infra perspective, from an application perspective. So programs that are conducted by ISACA, right, helped you to train and get yourself a basic fundamental knowledge. And there's a vast, I think ISACA has got more than 30,000 members with them, right, who are all security professionals. And and they have been there. They have been there for more than 10, 15 years. Probably in India, we are seeing them scale up more in this particular area in the recent past. But abroad, I think this has already been there for quite some time.
Thank you. There are two more questions in the chat. One from Sagar regarding fuels, and one from
CNG is also rising. Electric vehicles are increasing, but countries in the world. Why can't we go with ethanol as fuel for regular and premium vehicles? Is there any major regulatory issue or the performance of the vehicle? Oops, Sagar. I'm technical, no doubt about it, but technical from a software perspective, boss. I'm not into production. I don't know. Probably I don't know the ethanols. I mean, I've done chemistry, but it's been way back, right? So ethanol as a property, what properties it has, what is the flammability level, or what is the what do you call that, density, whatever the chemical properties that you attribute to a chemical, I'm not very sure about it, and therefore I'm also not sure as to how it can be used as a fuel in premium vehicles, or how it will even perform. I haven't come across any regulatory issue per se on that, ethanol as a topic. So again, like I informed earlier, probably I can do a bit of research into this, discuss with a few of my technical colleagues, and get back to you on this topic.
No, actually, it started with buses and all kind of thing. The heavy vehicles started with it. It was the Nitin Gadkari, the minister, also pushing ethanol is there, but we are not coming up. We are not seen with the regular vehicles like we use for data. That's
Commercial vehicles versus private vehicles.
Yeah.
Right. So we don't probably see too much of a usage here.
Yeah.
And I mean, I haven't even heard of a private vehicle with ethanol as a fuel, for that matter. So like I said, I'm not sure as to what are the properties and how it will support a private vehicle, the kind of speeds that we envisage, the kind of quality roads that we have, and what exactly, how exactly it will help us.
Yeah.
That is something I don't know personally. So probably I'll have to discuss and come back to you on that as well.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
There are a couple of more questions there in the chat.
What is your views on EdTech? There's redundancy of information and no chaos. Will there be a technology in future which can offer better experience? Well, redundancy of information and more chaos in applications or technical platforms is something that will probably be there for some time, right? Anytime in that you come up with something new, there could be some redundancy of information there, and it is a constant process of fine-tuning and fine-tuning and fine-tuning, right? That is one aspect of it. And on the second aspect of it, at least from my perspective, what I feel is, where does chaos come from, right? Chaos comes from a situation wherein the information or the requirement is not clear. If our vision is not clear, if the design is not clear, you will land up with some kind of a technology, obviously, which leads to chaos, right? So it all depends. Technology is definitely there. Technology can give you better experience going forward, but it also involves certain amount of how do I say, thoughtful approach to technology. Otherwise, obviously, we'll land up with no chaos. But
one more about green hydrogen.
Green hydrogen, boss. Again, like I said, hydrogen is there. We have already seen cars. I think Toyota has managed about 10,000 cars or something, is what I learned. So it's already there, but mass production probably is still not there. We could probably expect it 2030, 2020s, early to 2030s or something, depending upon how we resolve all the complexities involved around generating hydrogen fuel cells and so on and so forth. But again, I don't know the perfect time there.
Yeah. One question from my side, if you may.
Yes, sir.
You touched upon quantum computing.
Yeah.
Can you kind of simplify it for us lay people like us? What is it and what does it do, and what's the kind of impact? Students would be interested in. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, see, it's like, how do I say this? It's like one is to, today, if you are mapping, if you are, it's a 1:1,000 proportion, I should say, probably, right? It's about, it's a very nascent technology still, but it will revolutionize the way computers behave, right? So like I said, if a normal supercomputer today performs a particular activity, say in a month, the quantum computer would probably perform it in minutes. That's a kind of improvement in performance, improvement in the entire, underlying technology that we are looking at. And one additional thing is quantum computing. See, we have all thought about zeros and ones in our normal computing systems, right? Quantum computing, as far as I have heard of and have known, is it will have both zeros and ones at the same time in bits. And that helps it process the entire processes that many times faster. So, but it's a super of supercomputers in essence, I should say. It has a lot of encryption in place. It allows for a lot of encryption. It's a broadly a very big game changer for the technological industry.
So speeds will increase tremendously.
Tremendously. Unimaginable speeds.
And sizes of chipsets also might come down.
Yes.
Would that happen?
Definitely. Yep, definitely. We are looking at mini to mini.
Right. Great.
Yep.
I think if there are one more, I think, question.
Right. Control systems in premium cars. It can be inculcated AI to identify fault. Definitely. It's already there to a certain extent. Technologies are out there and it will definitely be there.
Yeah.
I can't share further details.
It's like a code that's why I asked this question, because it's yet to come, and due to portals there are many actions happening, specifically on the highways, because unregulated speed breakers are developed by human beings. So many of the times we get stuck, speed breaker and there's an accident over there.
Correct. But with all the intelligence that are being built into cars, automotives today, vehicles today, right? This will be easily handled going forward. We are talking about cars self-driving themselves.
Yeah.
You code into the car that I want a pizza, right? And you also code in saying that this is the map. You have to go here, get the pizza, and there is an auto payment option for you from the car itself. You don't have to get out of the car. This is the kind of automation that we are looking at, right? Okay. So when we are building in this amount of logics, this amount of systems into place, sensing that there is an upcoming pothole, sensing that there is a disturbance in the ground, is definitely feasible. And like I said, it's already there to a certain extent. Yeah.
So in future we can find soon as possible. Thanks.
India will be a good test bed for them.
Great. I think there are no further questions in the chat window. I think it was a wonderful session.
So,
there's something.
There's one question in the Q&A box by Sonal Davlatkar ma'am.
Okay, I didn't see it.
Please share if importance of alignment of IT with business strategy has increased due to emerging and future technologies like AI and IoT.
Definitely. Like I said, more and more CIOs are not there to implement systems, right? The normal conventional thinking of a CIO in any organization is that his or her role will be to implement IT systems, ensure they are working properly, ensure that the security is in place, ensure organization functions well, they don't have a break, they don't have a leak, etc., etc. But more and more, it's a combination of a CIO and CTO role, wherein they actually discuss with the business as to what their strategy is for the next few years, and then ensure that the IT systems are developed in such a way that they cater to those strategies and visions. So yes, it is a merging of, or rather it's a co-activity that has to be done without fail. Otherwise, this and that will never match. Customer expectations will never be met. Organizations cannot handle that kind of a pressure, right? And then they'll fall back on IT to say your systems aren't supporting us. So it is definitely an activity that has to be done together. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Are there any open questions? No, I think, so thank you very much. The way you kind of took us through this entire coming next 5 years or more. Basically loved the way you talked about the disruptive technologies, took us to the other side also, putting in place the security side, what we need to be cautious about. And the last bit that you touched about, what kind of leadership styles we need to really develop for handling these kinds of disruptions. You touched upon various technologies, collaborative platforms, AI/ML platforms, robo deployment in various fields. We talked about the implications of 3D printing, not just from your automobile space, but from the health space, construction industry, hydrogen fuel cells, give a different dimension to self-driven vehicles as well. Energy storage, how our houses can become, storehouses of energy, renewable energy, that too. How supply chains would kind of get affected by blockchain technology and otherwise as well. How the channel partnerships need to be relooked at with vendors, with marketing partners, etc. And of course, when you talked about security, how we need to be cautious about so much data being generated, and how that industry needs to develop parallelly along with all these disruptions which are coming and which will come. And then how do leaders, future leaders or current leaders handle the future workforce, which is going to be really disruptive themselves, because they have grown up with absolutely no holds barred kind of access to technology, and that to smart technology, intelligent technology. And what kind of skill sets or what kind of qualities leaders of the future need to kind of deal with, rather than being a kind of direction shower. The future leader will have to be an absorber of so beautiful. I mean, wonderful. That's what I can say. Thank you for sparing your time and enlightening us, faculty as well as students, with your immense experience and futuristic thought. Thank you very much. We really look forward to having you more often on our platforms. In the chat window, you can see the number of thank yous and gratitude mentioned there. I need not speak about it. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I hope I've at least partially fulfilled your expectations for this session.
Absolutely.
So, thank you for
more than that. The chat window is enough testimony there.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, sir.